50 duels.
Then he hung up. I FaceTimed Daniel.
50
He
duels.
sounded panicked.
We have to do 50 duels. Just to get this summer skin case.
Yes, I'm coming to.
This is gonna be at least an hour. This is gonna be a nightmare. How are we supposed to get 50? 50 all wins. There can't be losers. There have to be wins. How? How? Oh, guys. Oh, 50 duels to get a summer skin case. And that's my month. I can buy £5 Robux today. Yeah, this one's more powerful. I really need an assault rifle skin. I have no skin on the assault. Okay, I'm watching you. I really like the way you move, and I think we should have a drink or two. Bring on around with you, so come my way. I need somebody, so baby girl, come my way. I need somebody. Bah, you watching me, bah, This is gonna take ages, guys. By the time we get this summer skin kit and they're all wins, and if we keep our win streak, we'll have like a 70 win streak. Like a 73 win streak. Oh, this is crazy, guys. Can't believe it. We have to do 43, 40 and 49 duels and they have to be all wins. So, guess this is going to be a long hour. I want to see if we can get it done in an hour though. But I swear if we actually get some bad out of the skin case. And I did all this, except from getting the level 100 and win streak, I will go mad. Here's the flamethrower! Bro, I need that heavy duty bundle for a fact. I got him. I don't know your best hoes, best hoes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I love my avatar as well, guys. It's just so cute. Imagine if after these 50 kills I get level 120 something. I would have nearly beaten Alfie's record because he's level 100 like 34. Ah 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 ah. A 24 win streak. Guys, this should probably make me better at rivals as well. I can't believe I level 100. Oh guys, oh guys, oh guys. Oh, for goodness sake, guys. We need 47 rounds left, like, actually win. It's gonna be crazy. Oh, wow, wow, wow. All this for a summer skincare, so guys. Balazon. my god, that was insane. I was not expecting to hit that. Oh my god. Oh wow. Okay, guys, I really don't understand how I'm gonna be able to do all this. This is just crazy. Oh, that's actually crazy. Guys, this is my highest win streak ever. And 26 win streak. This is the highest. All in a row. Wow. This is just Stop.
To get you, right now. When we got to my apartment, Daniel walked me to the front door and stopped. He crouched down and ran his finger along the lock plate. There's a scratch here that wasn't here yesterday. Someone tried to pick this lock. I stared at the scratch and felt the floor disappear beneath me. I wanted to run away. I was so scared. Daniel stood up and cupped my face. I'm not going anywhere, okay? I'm right here. Tears welled in my eyes. I can't ask that of you, Daniel. I don't even have spare clothes for you. He smiled gently. It's okay. I have a suitcase in my trunk with some of my stuff. I was surprised, but he pulled me into a hug. He stayed for a few hours, helping me feel safe. Then his phone buzzed. He checked it and he frowned. It's work. Emergency at the office. I have to leave for a few hours. He pulled me close. I'll come back as soon as I can. Lock up behind me. He left. The apartment went quiet. I locked the deadbolt. Then I stared at the door and thought about the note. Then I dragged the kitchen table across the floor and shoved it against the front door. I pushed the couch behind it. I piled random vases, lamps, and books on top of the table and couch. It looked like a garage sale. Then I sat on the floor in the hallway with my back against the wall and the kitchen knife in my lap. I pulled my knees to my chest and watched the door. At 1 a.m., I heard footsteps. The door unlocked and the handle moved. Then something pushed against the door harder. The table scraped an inch across the floor. My grip tightened on the knife until my knuckles turned white. I stood up and opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. The door pushed again, and the couch groaned against the tile. Kylie! Daniel's voice was muffled through the door. Kylie, it's me. Open up. I dropped the knife, and it clattered on the floor. I shoved the furniture out of the way with shaking hands. Daniel stood in the hallway, wide-eyed and out of breath. I finished up at work and got worried. Are you okay? I sobbed against him. I thought he was here. I thought you were him. He held me tighter. I'm here. I'm right here. He stayed the rest of the night. I fell asleep with my head on his chest. The next morning, I checked the security camera footage from the night before, and my whole body seized. A figure stood in the alley beside my bedroom window at 2 a.m., hood up, face covered. He held up a piece of paper to the lens that read, "You look so cute holding a knife." Then he turned and walked away. He had been here after all. I drove myself to the police station and showed completely obscured. No identifying features, no direct threat of physical harm. Standing on a public sidewalk is not a crime. He was outside my window at 2 in the morning. After he sent me a letter promising he'd come, did I understand how unsettling that is? But without a clear threat or identification, my hands are tied. If anything escalates further, call me immediately. But please, stop wasting my time with things I can do nothing about. He turned to his desk, a silent dismissal. My phone rang. Javier said, "I need you to come over right away." I texted Daniel where I was headed. He was already waiting in the parking lot of Javier's apartment complex when I arrived, pulling me into a hug. We walked into Javier's apartment without knocking. Javier stood with his arms crossed and a disgusted look on his face. He pointed to a plain box on his counter. I went over to look, and the moment I peered inside, I gagged. Wrapped in cloth was a dead bird. Its neck was broken clean. The note underneath read, "Your sister's neck is next." I thought back to when I was 7, looking up at the birds on the windowsill, only to look down and see my dead mother again. I grabbed at my chest, having forgotten how to breathe. Daniel grabbed my arm and supported my weight. Once he dropped me off on the couch, he went and closed the box's lid to hide the bird from sight. Javier sat next to me and said, "I can't help but think about how different that night with Mom would have gone if we had a life-sized Zorro protecting us." I looked at him curiously and wished I could protect him better. Javier shook his head and forced a smile. On a lighter note, I was doing awful in this microbiology course. Then I mentioned it to my neighbor, and he helped me out with a tutoring session. Daniel perked up. "Oh yeah, I've met that guy. 3 doors down, right? Seems solid." Javier nodded. "Good dude. Keeps to himself. Moved in a few months ago." Javier looked at me. "By the way, I'm going on a camping trip with some friends this weekend. Can you watch Zorro?" I scrunched my nose. "Your tarantula?" Javier clasped his hands together. "Please, just stop by and keep him company. And feed him." "I know what feeding him entails, Javier. So you'll do it?" "Fine." Javier kissed my cheek. "You're the best, sis." The next Saturday, I let myself into Javier's apartment with my spare key. I fed the horrifying monster my brother calls a pet. Above the terrarium were my brother's katana blades, shiny and taking up half the wall of the tiny room. I shook my head and told the spider, "Your owner is a geek." I went to the window to close the curtain and glanced toward the street, spotting someone by my car. I held my hand up to block the glare. The man turned around to walk up the steps to the apartment complex entrance. As soon as I saw him, I started shaking. My body gave out and I hit the floor, bruising my knees. I dragged myself to the window and watched through the blinds the same way I'd watched through the closet slats when I was 7 years old. Same green eyes. I called Javier. My hands were shaking so badly I had to use both of them to hold the phone. "I think your neighbor is the man who killed our mother." Javier laughed. "Kylie, come on." I crawled away from the window while saying, "I'm in your bedroom looking at him right now. That's the man. You've been sleeping 4 hours a night for a month. You see threats in everything. Daniel told me so." His voice softened. "Kylie?" I hung up, not wanting to hear his excuses, and called Daniel. I'm at Javier's apartment. The neighbor 3 doors down is him. It's Sloan. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Kylie, you saw him for a few seconds through a window. Don't do that." "I'm not doing anything. I'm asking you to be sure before you blow up your brother's life over a neighbor who tutors him in microbiology." I swallowed my fears and went to leave the apartment, realizing that if Daniel didn't believe me, then I must be crazy. The moment I stepped outside, the man turned around and looked straight at me. Then he waved. My mouth went dry. Every nerve in my body screamed run, but my legs wouldn't move. The wave was so normal, so ordinary. When I got in my car, I locked the door and sat there for a full minute to fix my breathing before I turned the key. Daniel walked through my front door, worry etched across his face. I was curled up in a blanket on the couch. He kissed my forehead and set a bag of takeout on the table. "You need to eat something." I hid further under my blanket. He sat next to me, listening. I talked to Javier. I looked up. "You what?" He called me. "He's worried about you." And honestly, so am I. I don't need people worrying about me. I need people believing me. Daniel took my hand. "I've been thinking, what if you're not wrong?" I felt relief and exhaled deeply. The moment I reached forward to hug him, his phone rang. Daniel stood up and said, "I'll make us some tea, then we can talk more." I sat on the couch and opened my laptop to scroll through the court records again. A few minutes later, I heard Daniel's voice coming from the bedroom. I walked down the hall toward the half-open door. His back was to me. He said, "I've talked to Javier twice already. The kid doesn't suspect anything." My feet stopped and I planted myself flat against the wall. His voice continued, "You said if I kept her away from him, you'd hold up your end. And I've done everything you asked." The room tilted. I took a step forward and the floorboard creaked. Daniel spun around. His phone was still pressed to his ear. We stared at each other. I watched the mask of the sweet boyfriend fall from his face. It turned into a sick, twisted smirk. My voice and body shook as I asked, "Who were you talking to?" He lowered the phone. "Kylie, you said the deal. Who was on that phone?" He slammed his fist on the nightstand and sat on the edge of the bed. "My father." I took a step forward in shock. "Your father?" "Sloan is my father." My spine hit the hallway wall. Daniel stood up slowly, inching toward me like I was a scared animal. "Everything I've done has been to protect you. My dad got out 8 months ago. First thing he did was find your brother. I knew if I didn't intervene, he'd come for you too. So I made a deal with him. If I kept you away from Javier's apartment, kept you from going to the cops with anything they'd believe, he would leave you alone." I pressed myself against the wall and put one arm out to keep him back. He stepped closer and touched my face. "I love you." That part was never a lie. His thumb brushed away my tears. I told my dad, "She's off the table. Permanently. He can have your brother, but not you." My fear turned into anger as my hands stopped shaking and balled into fists. "What do you mean, he can have my brother?" His grin fell. "The deal was about you, not Javier. Is my brother in danger right now?" Daniel pressed his lips together. I pushed against his chest and demanded, "He went to Javier's tonight, didn't he?" He looked away. "Didn't he?" He stepped forward, screaming in my face. "Be grateful you're alive at all. We both know Javier would die for you." I crouched down, ducked out of his grasp, and lunged for the bedroom door. Daniel's hand caught my wrist, and a bruise started to form. "If you go there, the deal is off. He won't spare you." I looked at his face and saw his father, the same green eyes. Then I spit right in them. "Let go of me," he grinned. "I can't do that, Kylie." I reached over to grab the nearest picture frame with my free hand and swung it toward Daniel's head. He only had time to widen his eyes before glass shattered against his skull. He released my wrist. I ran for it, yelling over my shoulder, "Never touch me again, or I will kill you." He didn't follow. His hands dropped to his sides as he yelled out, "You're going to get yourself killed." I grabbed my keys from the counter and sprinted to my car. The moment I walked up to Javier's apartment, it felt like someone punched me in the gut. The front door was wide open. The lights were off inside. I walked cautiously toward the door. "Javier, are you there?" I stepped inside and immediately saw a shelf by the door had been bumped. A chair near the kitchen was turned over on its side. The hallway table was pushed against the wall. I moved through the hallway slowly. I passed the kitchen and saw a drawer open. The knife block sat on the counter with 2 slots empty. Fear tickled my spine as I wanted to burst into spontaneous tears. I spotted my brother's bedroom door wide open. Javier was on the bed, duct tape around his wrists and ankles. A strip of cloth was across his mouth. I rushed forward without thinking, only fearing for my brother's life. His eyes were wide and locked on me. He looked at me, then he looked to his left. The bedroom door swung shut behind me. Sloan stood there, older now, thinner, same green eyes as his son. Javier made a muffled cry. The man grabbed me by the collar of my shirt and slammed me into my brother's dresser. Pain cracked across my spine and my vision whited out for a half second. The first thing I saw as my eyes opened was the devastation on my brother's face. It was worse than fear. The man spoke almost fatherly. "Took you long enough, Kylie. You always were the smart one. My son should have kept a tighter leash on you." I grabbed the lamp off the nightstand and swung it at his head. The base connected with his temple and the bulb exploded. He stumbled sideways into the dresser and knocked a mirror to the floor. The advantage lasted 2 seconds. He straightened up and came at me with his hands out, ready to strangle my neck. I crouched. Spun away from the counter, backed into the hallway. He barreled forward and stood between me and the front door, his smile widening. "He told me you cry in your sleep because of me. My boy said you barricaded yourself like a scared little girl hiding in a closet." I stumbled as the words hit me like a physical blow. Every night I thought I was safe in my boyfriend's arms was a lie. Sloan took a step closer, and I forced my legs to move. I changed direction and sprinted back into the bedroom, slamming the door shut and locking it. The lock was cheap apartment hardware and would hold for maybe 30 seconds. Javier was thrashing on the bed, pulling at the duct tape with everything he had. I scanned the room. On the wall above Zoro's tank, mounted on a decorative display rack, were the 3 replica katanas. I grabbed the first one and pulled it from the shelf. The blade caught the light from the window as I cut the tape on Javier's wrists. He ripped the strip off his mouth while I cut his ankles free. The bedroom door splintered inward. The cheap wood cracked along the frame, and Sloane's face came through the gap. Javier stood up and grabbed the other 2 katanas off the wall. He planted himself in front of me. He held the katana like he'd trained with them his whole life. He glared at Sloane and yelled, "You're not touching her!" The door finally gave in, and Sloane burst in, practically foaming at the mouth. Javier moved like the blades were extensions of his arms. He closed the distance in 2 steps, and the man barely had time to raise his hands. The first strike caught the man across the forearm. He took a big step backward, hissing in pain. The second strike caught the man's chest in a diagonal slash that dropped him to the floor. When he tried to get up, Javier stood over him with both blades crossed at the man's throat. I had never seen my brother look so calm and controlled, but his eyes were full of so much anger. I stepped closer beside my brother and glared at the man who haunted my nightmares. "Looks like monsters do bleed. Thank you for being my right-hand man, Javier." My brother looked at me and said, "You saved my life. I owed you one, sis." Jess grabbed my arm at lunch and said, "Why is the new girl staring at you?" I looked up, and a girl I'd never seen before was standing in the cafeteria doorway, looking directly at me. She smiled and walked straight to our table. "I'm Piper. I just transferred. I love your shoes." She sat down before The man who murdered my mother has been living 3 doors down from my brother. I was 7 years old when I held my hand over my brother's mouth in order to keep him alive. My brother was
Guys,
5.
are you joking me? It says, like yesterday, I'm not allowed to do any more my windshield will stop and my winds will stop until tomorrow. Are you joking me? I thought I was going to get that today. It's fine, guys. Part 3 tomorrow about 10 o'clock. Bye.